Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. As you may know, the Lion series by FOSA comes with 2 glass bowls, one smaller and one larger. And today we're going to do some fun baking in them because they are oven safe. So let's get to it. All right, so we're going to begin doing a little bit of baking. I am not a huge baker, I'm more of a cook. So I do light and simple baking. That's my way to go about it. But what I love about these bowls is that you can prep in them and then you can store in them. And by using the Turtle Plus pump, you can remove all of that air from your containers when you're storing them, which keeps it fresher longer. So I'm going to be showing you how to make a super simple few ingredient granola that we're going to make in here. And then we're going to also make a pear apple, kind of like a crumble bake type of thing. Let's get started with the apple and pear crumble because that takes a little bit longer. So I'm starting with 2 apples that I've already peeled, and then I also have 3 pears, and I also don't love following exact recipes, so desserts like this are my absolute favorite where you can just kind of eyeball it. So I'm just taking my apple, and you could either do these in cubes or I like to do it more in slices. So I have my bowl right here, and I'm just going to be throwing all my apple and pear slices right on in there. What's great about a recipe like this as well is that you could use it for any season. So if it's apple season in the fall, use your apples. If you have fruit that are going bad in the fridge, use them up. It's a great way to repurpose some fruit that are turning. All right, so we are throwing this into the FOSA glass bowl. And you could cook in these bowls. The less dishes, the better. So I'm just throwing all my ingredients directly into the bowl. We're gonna mix our ingredients together in there and bake it off in there. And we have some other ingredients here. This is what I like to add. I add a little bit of cornstarch and some flour. I like the mixture of the 2 to help absorb any excess moisture because the fruit obviously holds a lot of moisture in them. So I use a mixture of the 2, plus I use some of the flour as the crumble on top. And we're gonna use a little bit of the oats that we have right here for the topping as well. It gets kind of crunchy and yummy. And we're also gonna mix the fruit in some cinnamon, some lemon juice. You could do some zest if you like as well. And I have some butter and some cinnamon. I mean, what could go wrong there? All good things. Super cozy, warming ingredients. All right, so we have all of our apples and pears right there. I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees. Got 1 little lemon here. Oh, it's preheated, perfect. I'm just gonna juice a half a lemon. And again, there's no specific recipe here. Just go with it. All right, and to that, we're gonna add some cinnamon, a nice warming flavor. Cinnamon that I love. And as I mentioned, it has tons of moisture in it, so I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch to help absorb some of that moisture, and a little bit of flour here, and I'm going to add more flour at the end. Leave a ring, take it on off, so you don't get all messy in there. All right, so I'm just going to take my hand and give it a little mix around, get those apples and pears coated. If you wanted to add some sugar at this point, by all means you can. I'm gonna use a teeny tiny bit of honey to just sweeten it ever so slightly. You could use a drop of sugar here, you could use brown sugar, but honestly, I like keeping it pretty clean. I don't think it really needs sugar. I think the fruit is sweet on its own, but totally up to you. It's totally your call. Throw some sugar in there if you like it. Maple syrup also works really nicely here, just to give it a touch of sweetness, bring out those flavors. Okay, perfect. And now we're gonna take that little bit of flour, throw it right on top, grab some oats, throw it on in, and some butter. And I have the whipped butter here because it crumbles a little bit easier because you kind of want to crumble it with your hands. And this is supposed to just be super, super rustic, okay? So just put little blobs of butter kind of throughout the top. And I'm gonna show you what this looks like in a minute. And that butter is just gonna melt and seep down into all that fruit. It's gonna be so good. All right, check it out. Again, super rustic. You see the little bits of butter throughout. I have the oats on top. A little bit of flour, that cornstarch, that cinnamon flavor. It smells so good. I'm gonna pop it in the oven. It'll bake for like 20, 30 minutes or so. You'll see it start to bubble and caramelize and get nice and golden on top. Let's go. Okay, while that is baking in the oven, we're gonna get started with some super simple granola. I like having fresh granola sitting on the counter all week long because my kids like to top their yogurt with it. I happen to love it with yogurt as well, and I even eat it plain sometimes, and sometimes I'll even add some almond milk to it. So really use it any way you like, okay? And there's no right or wrong here, okay? Just gonna take your oats, throw them in there. And I like to do this all right here on the baking sheet. I have some apricots. You just want to chop them into like quarters, I would say. But again, just, you know, the more rustic, the better in my book. I'm all about the rustic family style. All right, so just run your knife through that. I like these juicy apricots. They're so good. There we go. So we have our oats here. We got our apricots. I have some pistachios. All right, I'm adding some cinnamon just because I really, really love that cinnamon flavor. And I like to make mine with olive oil. So I'm just getting some olive oil on here. And that's gonna make it golden and crispy and crunchy and delicious. And one more little bit. Bloop. Nice, good olive oil. I have a light tasting olive oil so it doesn't burn on you. And honey. And I'm just gonna bake this in the same oven. And then when it's cool, we're gonna pop it into our small FOSA bowl and store it vacuum sealed. All right, so just kind of give that a little mix around. Get your fingers in it. Mix it all around here. And I really like the color contrast between the orange and the green pistachios. If you wanted to use hazelnuts, I love hazelnuts in granola too. So use anything you have in the house, anything you want to use up. I also love adding chocolate chips at the end. So once this is baked and nice and cooled, I'll get it in my container, and later on I'll add in those chocolate chips probably. The kids love it too. Alrighty, there you have it. How gorgeous is that? Get it in the oven, same oven, 375. This is gonna bake for about 20 to 25 minutes or so. All right, everything just came out of the oven. It smells so good in here. That cinnamon and that butter from this fruit crumble. I'm so excited. Okay, so here we have our granola, as you can see. Check this out. Look at that. Oh, and when you bake it, it gets crispy, crunchy, and you kind of just break it apart. You hear that crunch? All right, so break it all up. And it's just so nice to wake up in the morning to a fresh batch of granola sitting on the counter, ready for all kinds of uses. Take this right here and get it on in. Look at that, so good. So we got our fresh granola in here, and it's just about cooled. Once it's cooled, you are going to take your Dual-Vac lid, press it right on the top to get it started, and vacuum seal it. And this is gonna keep it fresh on the counter all week long. Nice and tight. Perfect. All that air is out of here. We're gonna have fresh, crunchy granola all week long. All right, and now with our fruit crumble, we would store it the exact same way to keep it fresh all week long, but honestly, the smell is just so stinking good. I can't wait any longer. I'm gonna go on in, give it a little taste. Oh my God, this is so good. Look at this. You have your oats, you have all that fruit that's softened now. Wow. It's just so warming and comforting, but still super, super light. Hope you guys make these. This is the Line Series by FOSA. I'm gonna go finish some of this up. Bye, guys.